In a quiet corner of the world, where rolling hills touched the sky, perched a small pigeon named Pip. It wasn't much to look at, just a bundle of soft gray feathers and bright, curious eyes. But from his vantage point on a weathered wooden fence, he saw things others missed. Below him, in the lush green meadow, his best friend, a sturdy donkey named Barnaby, was enjoying his favorite pastime, munching on sweet clover, his long ears twitching with contentment. One afternoon, as the sun warmed his feathers, Pip noticed something odd. High up on the tallest hill, nestled among the pines, a colossal log trembled. It was ancient, covered in moss, and bigger than any tree Pip had ever seen. Suddenly, with a deep groan that echoed across the valley, the log began to roll. It started slow, a lazy turn, but quickly gathered speed, carving a destructive path straight for the meadow, straight for Barnaby. Barnaby, look out, Pip chirped, his voice a tiny squeak against the growing rumble. But Barnaby was lost in his clover-filled world, humming a little tune to himself. The log was a monster now, a wooden avalanche, splintering smaller trees and sending rocks flying. Panic seized Pip. He took to the air, his small wings beating furiously, and swooped down towards his unsuspecting friend. He landed right between Barnaby's ears. Barnaby. Danger. A giant log is coming. Barnaby, startled, lifted his head, his chewing slowing to a stop. His eyes widened in disbelief as he saw the monstrous log thundering down the hillside. A sound escaped his throat, not a gentle bray, but a raw, panicked hee-haw that sent birds scattering from the nearby trees. For a moment, he was frozen, his hooves rooted to the spot as the ground began to shake. We have to move. Now, Pip urged, pecking gently at Barnaby's head to snap him out of his trance. That did it. Barnaby's survival instinct kicked in. Espunaronde, his heart pounding against his ribs. The meadow was wide open, offering no protection. The only escape was a narrow, winding deer trail that zigzagged up the opposite slope. It was their only chance. Stay on, Pip, Barnaby yelled, breaking into a frantic gallop. Pip clung on for dear life, his tiny claws digging into Barnaby's coarse fur. The donkey was surprisingly fast, his powerful legs eating up the ground as they charged towards the trailhead. The roar of the log was deafening now, a constant thunder that seemed to be right on their heels. They reached the path and plunged into the dense thicket. The trail was tight, a twisting corridor of branches and thorny bushes. Barnaby, with his bulky frame, scraped against the sides, but he didn't slow down. Pip, I need your help, he panted, his breath coming in ragged bursts. We need to slow it down. Pip understood immediately. While Barnaby navigated the treacherous path, Pip became his eyes and ears from above. He darted ahead, then back to Barnaby's head, guiding him. Left here. Jump the route. He saw thick, dangling vines hanging over the path. An idea sparked in his quick mind. As Barnaby galloped beneath them, Pip would fly up and peck furiously at the base of the vines. One after another, he severed them. The heavy green curtains of foliage dropped onto the path behind them, creating a messy, tangled barrier. They heard the log crash into the first leafy wall with a splintering crunch. It slowed it down, but only for a second. They worked as a perfect team. Barnaby provided the speed and power, while Pip provided the strategy and precision. Peck, drop, gallop. Peck, drop, gallop. They created a trail of obstacles, buying themselves precious seconds with each one. The air was thick with the smell of crushed leaves and adrenaline. They could feel the vibrations through the ground, a constant, terrifying reminder that the danger was just inches away. They were making progress, pulling ahead, and a sliver of hope began to grow. The path ahead opened up slightly, revealing a stretch of slick, muddy ground from a recent rain shower. We're almost there, Pip, Barnaby shouted, a note of triumph in his voice. He surged forward, pushing his tired muscles to their limit, but their hope was short-lived. Suddenly, with a violent crack, the log smashed through a cluster of young pine trees it had previously pushed aside. Freed from the resistance, its momentum multiplied. It shot forward like a cannonball, its speed doubling in an instant. The roar intensified, and the ground shook so violently that Barnaby lost his footing on the slick mud. His legs, went out from under him. With a desperate cry, he skidded, turning sideways on the path. Pip was thrown from his perch, tumbling through the air. He flapped his wings wildly, struggling to regain control as the world spun around him. Below, Barnaby scrambled to get up, his hooves slipping and sliding in the muck. The log was almost upon them, a spinning, wooden behemoth that filled their entire vision. There was nowhere to run. Just as Barnaby found his feet, Pip landed back on his head, disoriented but determined. The creek. To the right, he screeched. Barnaby didn't hesitate. He veered sharply, abandoning the path and crashing through the undergrowth. A few yards ahead lay a narrow but deep creek, too wide for the log to simply roll over. The other side was their only sanctuary. There was no time to find a crossing. "We have to jump it," Barnaby yelled, his voice strained with effort. He focused on a spot on the opposite bank, pouring every last ounce of his remaining strength into his legs. The roar of the log was a physical presence. Now, the wind from its passage whipping at their fur and feathers. It was now or never. Now, Pip! Shrieked. Barnaby coiled his powerful hind legs and launched himself into the air. For a breathtaking second, they were suspended over the gushing water, a donkey and a pigeon in a silent, desperate arc. Time seemed to slow down. Pip could see every detail on the log's splintered surface as it thundered past just beneath them. He felt a spray of water as Barnaby's hooves skimmed the creek. Then, with a jarring thud, they landed on the soft earth of the other side. Stumbling but safe, they collapsed in a heap, chests heaving, hearts pounding a wild rhythm against the sudden silence. The log, its path blocked by the creek, crashed into the bank they had just leaped from, sending a shower of dirt and rock into the air, before finally coming to a stop, wedged in the mud. For a long time, the two friends just lay there, catching their breath, the magnitude of their escape slowly sinking in. Slowly, shakily, Barnaby got to his feet. Pip fluttered from his head to a nearby branch, his small body trembling. They had done it. They had survived. Together, they limped their way to the top of the nearest hill, a safe distance away. They sat side by side, Barnaby grazing gently on a patch of grass and Pip nestled on his back, preening his ruffled feathers. From their new vantage point, they watched the scene below, and then they saw the strangest thing of all. The giant log, which had caused so much terror, began to shimmer. It slowly dematerialized, fading into pixels of light before vanishing completely. A moment later, high up on the tallest hill, right back in its starting position among the pines, the colossal log reappeared, solid and still, as if nothing had ever happened. Barnaby and Pip looked at each other. The meadow was peaceful again. The birds were returning to the trees, and the world was quiet. But he knew. They knew that the log was waiting, ready for its next run. They had won this round, but the game wasn't over. And as the sun began to set, they stood together, a donkey and a pigeon, friends and survivors, ready for whatever came next. Thanks so much for watching our story unfold. If you enjoyed this adventure with Pip and Barnaby, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more tailies from our little corner of the world. See you next time.